Side will be given 10 minutes to present with 5 minutes of rebuttals. And lastly, if you wish to discuss the case after we have concluded, we would ask that you leave the building, as if you go into the back lobby area, it does echo into the chamber. This time I would ask you to stand with an invocation from Commissioner Randolph and the Pledge of Allegiance from Commissioner Casaban.
Gracious Father, once again, we come to you to say thank you for all the blessings you bestowed on our lives. We thank you, Heavenly Father, for this blessed, gorgeous weather. We thank you for this parish. We thank you for our government. We thank you for this commission. Lord, we thank you for the people that we serve. And all these blessings, Lord, we ask that in your Son's name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. In our packets are the minutes of the March 1st, 2016 meeting. If you would please review them. Commissioner Richard.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve.
Second. We have a motion by Commissioner Richard, second by Commissioner Dougherty. Commissioner, yes. Commissioner Lauren?
One of them where they left Bernie off. They didn't show, he was here, but they didn't register his vote.
That's because he doesn't read.
But we love Bernie, we don't want to leave him out.
We will amend that. Mr. Willie was here. So we have a motion by Commissioner Richard, second by Mr. Dougherty, as amended.
Thank you.
Any further comments? Seeing none, I would ask for a vote. Motion carries. Staff, are there any cases you wish postponed? Commission, any cases? None? Again, this is a public hearing. We ask the public, if you wish to address any particular case, please do so. Come to the podium, state your name and address, and you will be given time to express your views. Applications for proposed change of zoning district or amendments to the land use ordinances requiring review and recommendations of approval by the Zoning Commission before action by the Parish Council are as follows. 2016-148-ZC, existing zoning, HC2 Highway Commercial District, proposed zoning, I-1 Industrial District, the parcel 30,000 square feet, the petitioner, Covington Kitchen and Bath, ZIUU, the owner, Clay Prieto. The parcel is located at the southwest corner of Louisiana Highway 59 and Cass Reel Drive, being 21530 Cass Reel Drive, Mandeville, Ward 3, District 5. Staff? This was postponed from our March 1st meeting.
Staff does not have any objection to the request, considering that the Highway 59 corridor is developed with a mix of retail uses, office warehouse, and outdoor storage yards, and at this time would like to recommend approval of the request for an I-1 industrial district.
Thank you. Is the petitioner here? If you'd please come to the podium.
Hi, my name is Matt Organ of Organ Properties. My address is 71344 Riverside Drive, Covington, Louisiana, 70433. I appreciate your time to hear this case. We were postponed because there was a discrepancy of whether or not it could be HC2 zoning or I-1 zoning would be applicable for this use. I met with staff, with Ms. Lambert, and it was determined that it would require an I-1 zoning to operate the Covington Kitchen and Bath, which is cabinets and countertops. So I believe Mr. former board member Bill Matthews last said, before we recommended to postpone, he said it was totally inappropriate, our request. And I disagree with those comments. I think it's very appropriate and reasonable and typical within the area. This is a zoning request. And so I asked to consider this under zoning premises. I went up and down the highway today, and a 2-mile stretch from right where Team Waste is located all the way to Harrison, on the west side of the property, is filled with Team Waste. That property has outdoor storage. Equipco, outdoor storage. Danny's Automotive, outdoor storage. Lang's outdoor storage. Mini storages. Larry Lloyd's construction company, outdoor storage. The brick company at the S-curve has indoor and outdoor storage. And the subject property is not at the north end of the list. The list goes all the way up to Harrison. And so the question is, does the zoning request, is it appropriate? The staff says it is appropriate. The use fits within what's out there. We're not asking for heavy industrial. We're not asking for I-2 or I-3. It is light industrial. Part of it was that we need a yard. The opposition will get up in a second. They said in the first meeting we needed a 20,000 square foot yard. That's not accurate. The yard will not be more than 10,000 feet, and I did it to scale. It really doesn't look like it'll be more than 8,000 square feet. That's take into account the property buffers on the south side being 10 feet, leaving an existing buffer of 20 feet, which would be on the west property line. Next to, if you look at the survey, you'll see it there. It says 20-foot buffer. We would leave that there. And in addition, we met with Helen to discuss the appearance of this project. It would be an opaque fence as per parish standards, and we would hire a landscape architect to, currently there's already 5 live oak trees on the property along Casrill, so we can stay in conjunction with that and we will need to add landscaping along the perimeter. No matter what, the property does not have sufficient landscaping as it is. It needs bushes every 10 feet along the parking. It needs additional trees on the corner of it. This would be done during the permit process. Our goal would be to hide it. When I left the meeting last, I told everyone who was in opposition, my name and number was on the sign. Call me, we can discuss it, try to come up with a compromise. I did not hear anything. We met with Helen. Our goal would be to go above and beyond and landscape this thing to hide the yard as best as possible, to work with the locals. But the request is, does this fit? And if you go up and down 59, a home products or construction business, that's what 59 is about. It's not Highway 190. This isn't an office and retail corridor. There is some of that, and one of the things they mentioned was under the HC2 zoning, they wished it was retail. If you look at the retail centers on 59, they have a decent amount of vacancy. They don't do very well on market rates, and there's one where the karate shop is that's in foreclosure right now. I know that personally. This is not a retail location. And HC2 is such a wide zoning. The other argument was the trucks. Well, HC2's got a wider breadth of potential uses in it that would have trucks coming to the property. So I-1 is even a more restrictive use. There's less uses under I-1 that could even occupy the space. In closing, the question here is, does this use, the specific petitioner, does it apply? Does I-1 apply? And I would say it absolutely applies, and it's absolutely appropriate. It's completely typical to the area. We're not adjacent to any residential properties. And all of to my knowledge, I've spoken to the adjacent property owners, they are not in opposition to it. So I would ask that you listen to the professionals of the staff and go in line with their recommendation and consider this not just we want to go against what's in our backyard, but what's the highest and best use of this property? It was built as an office and warehouse. It has 800 square feet of office, and the rest is warehouse. It's not a retail building. The intent was never to be retail. That would require a whole renovation of the building. So I believe it's reasonable. I believe it fits. And by going through this process, it's going to be improved to get up to parish standards. So I ask that you go in line with staff and approve it tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor of the request? Seeing none, is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Mr. Clark? Yes, sir. Please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. My name is Charlie Clark. I live at 21458 Casrill. And you've heard from me before on this issue, and I just heard the petitioner tell you about the Highway 59 corridor, and he's absolutely right in that it may not be a retail outlet, but they built retail outlets. They came in and actually built these things. If you look at the owner before, Mr. Prieto, you will find that Mr. Patterson owned the property, and he came to the subdivision and asked us in the subdivision. And by the way, this property does not front door Highway 59. This property you have to access from Casrill, which is the gateway to our subdivision. So when Mr. Patterson wanted to develop this, the choices were to have one retail business and point it toward Highway 59, or to have several smaller ones and have access to it off of Casrill, which actually allowed him to build two instead of one with a vacant lot, which means that there would be room for one more of the smaller business types. So from that perspective, we, the subdivision, actually worked with him and compromised it out to be the as-built that it is today. Now, the industrial sites that you have been exposed to here, if you go down Highway 59 and look at these industrial sites, they are not gateways to subdivisions. He talked about Larry Lloyd's. He talked about the pipe fitting. He talked about the many warehouse places that exist there. They are Highway 59 frontage businesses that exist there. If you'll notice the map and what staff has given to you, you'll see that everything that touches this is zoned Highway Commercial 2, which is what we have worked with the development of these properties to become, one being a restaurant. And there is probably about 200 to 225 foot distance between that site and my mother's house, who would be the first. My 86-year-old mother would be the first house that it would touch there. Let me say that the noise that you hear from existing ones, and understand we've lived there for 28 years now. We could claim to be the first, but we know that's not how it works. Highway Commercial belongs on the highway. We allowed and worked as a subdivision in the community to allow the development of these small as-built that exist there. To rezone this to industrial offers absolutely nothing to our subdivision, except you will find that everybody adjacent to it will then want to join the train and start this whole thing that we have worked for 27 years to grow there with compromise and meetings and helping to develop it so it benefits not only the property owners, but the people who actually live there. I have a petition for you of everyone who lives on Casrill who has signed this. If I could use it for a minute, it has my actual notes on it. So before I give it up, I'd like to speak to it. Number one, again, it's a compromise. Number two, there's identified industrial property up and down. If you move 1,000 foot south or north of this, you will find that there's industrial zone property that could be leased, bought. There are some that will bill for you to lease. So those exist. The difference being those don't turn into a subdivision. If you know Highway 59, and I don't need to tell you about the traffic problems we have in the infrastructure in this parish going north-south. The main corridors, 59 and 190 there. Getting out on 190 and turning in there can be very, very hazardous. This building exists right on the corner. I wish I would have been able to print some pictures out for you because you would see the trucks. We have a restaurant service that comes in there, brings in the small 18-wheelers. We have the garbage trucks that come there to pick up the dumpsters, sometimes at 5 o'clock in the morning, but they're right there. They block the roads. And what we're trying to do is to minimize the impact. Look, we're not against the growth of this parish. We've helped in that process, our community and our subdivision. All we ask is that you look at this from the perspective of what we've given. And you know, to say that I'm disappointed or discouraged, it seems like every time our subdivision comes in, the council has, or rather the officials within here, have approved without talking to the residents of the area. And I know as the commission, you are bound by your own rules and regulations that you have to stick with. But I certainly wish some of these people would have to go interview the people that we went and talked to about this, the elderly, the widows, the widowers. This area has a lot of old people in it, those people who, although they vote, they don't have the means to defend themselves and come and talk about issues like this, but who are absolutely against them. So we would pray that you consider it, consider our neighborhood, consider that we've already worked to compromise what exists there and help us to maintain the integrity of what we have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in opposition to the request? Seeing none, would the petitioner care to rebut?
Again, I go back to, if we talk about traffic, the current zoning already will allow, and he brought up, there's already traffic there. So if the concept is we should just shut this down and not put anything in it, then you know, that would probably solve the problem. But the reality is, you're right, we could lease this thing to a number of commercial uses. Ziegler Tree Service was there, and they had a number of trucks that parked in that parking lot. I'm sure that may have been a headache. No matter what we do, we're not going to shut down the property if we just walk away today and say don't approve this zoning change. It still has the potential for tractor trailers. It still has the potential for commercial uses, and there's just no getting around that. I understand that the buildings do front Casrill, and in a way that may be a good thing for traffic, to get the trucks or vehicles. This petitioner does not have 18-wheelers come into their property. And whether it's industrial or commercial, no matter which way we go tonight, there will be a potential for that to happen. Doesn't matter if we leave it alone or not, there will always be that potential. So I can't say that will never happen. But this petitioner does not use 18-wheelers. For their vehicles, it's probably better to get them to Casrill. If there is any sort of stacking that would occur, it's better to do that. Right now, as I just drove in, there's a flipped car on Highway 190 from a car crossing and going into Maple Ridge. So the less on and off we have on the main drags, the less curb cuts, that's a positive thing. So in a sense, it's a good thing to have any vehicles coming on and off of that property to get onto Casrill and then merge onto 59. The opposition brings up that within 1,000 feet there's I-1 zoning. Across the street is I-1 zoning. And then in a way we can look at it, well, there's other things that we can go buy and rent. Well, maybe those aren't available for sale or for lease. This one is. And although it's not zoned properly, if we take the perspective of the concept that within 1,000 feet there's I-1 zoning that is in the area. So I look at that as, you're right, that's what this area, it fits the area. We're not taught, we like to throw out the term industrial. It's light industrial. We're not talking heavy manufacturing. We're not talking heavy distribution. It's light, it's for the uses that are not quite commercial and not quite industrial. And could benefit from I mean, there's a reason you have light industrial so that it fits within this type of an area. It doesn't have to be in the back of a park hidden to where nobody sees it. That's the whole purpose of light. So again, I look at this as, if we look at this property, does it fit the area? Does the change fit the area? And we have to remember that we're not just saying let's change it to industrial. We're trying to change it to a light zoning that has a minimal amount of uses within it. And we're putting in a cabinet and countertop company. We're not putting in a evil pollution, big industrial project. It's typical in the area. What is the highest and best use of the property? It's not retail. There's an office building across the street where Pelican Pages is that's been available for lease for a long time, since I've had this listing. This is not the prime area. That's 190, that's 21, that's 22, downtown or in Mandeville. 59 is light industrial and heavy industrial and commercial. That's the best use for this area, and the business that we're trying to bring in is within what everyone else is out there. I don't see it as inappropriate. I don't see this as adding any sort of unnecessary traffic that the current zoning would even allow. And we're going to better the property, and it's going to better the area. It's not going to be this obtrusive thing that somebody has to deal with. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Mr. Clark, do you wish to rebut?
No, sir, I think I'll stay.
Okay. With that, I would close it to the public and bring it to the commission. Commissioner Willie.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to reiterate what Mr. Clark said, and he's correct in what he said about the history of this area, the entrance of Casual Drive. They did negotiate with the previous landowners to protect the entrance of their subdivision in their neighborhood, and they agreed upon a HC2, and it was to provide a buffer against any industrial coming in near their entrance. And it stood the test of time so far, but it's up at bat again. So just give you a little history. It was agreed upon. It's been probably 10 or 12 years ago about the HC2 serving as a buffer against the I1s or I2s or I3s. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Davis.
I have some questions for the gentleman representing the Covington Kitchen and Bath, please.
Yes, sir.
In all fairness to ex-Commissioner Mr. Matthews and myself, I think our concern back when we postponed this was a discrepancy between the size of the outdoor storage. Is that
Sure.
correct? That you wanted more outdoor storage that the current zoning, highway commercial 2 allowed?
I believe Mr. Matthews was questioning, could this specific use fit within HC2, because
Right.
in HC2 it does allow for storage yards.
Right.
The gentleman did say that we were going to have a 20,000 square foot yard, and we went and scaled it out. We couldn't possibly even have, the lot itself is 30,000 feet. You take out buffers, you take out the building, you take out the existing yard, it would be impossible. So that's why we postponed it. Was, would Sydney allow or define the definition of HC2 and a cabinet countertop company to fit within HC2? We were hopeful for that, but that was not the case.
Okay, so obviously, you said before it's not zoned properly, but is this piece of property not zoned properly because of your needs?
Well,
And
there's
that's it?
uses that could exist in the building the way that it's built under HC2. I would say that there are uses, but it is not built as a on the highway retail or commercial building. It's not, the building was not laid out that way. If you want to consider it retail, it's very similar to the 126,000 feet of office and warehouse that I manage in the Covington Industrial Park. It's a small office, and the balance of it is warehouse with an overhead door to allow for either truck entry, it's a 14 by 16 overhead door. That's not meant for retail. That's meant to get goods and equipment and products in and out of that building. It was designed and approved in a sense, if as a commercial realtor, as I look at it, it's designed for uses that fit within both zonings, in my opinion. Do I need it for this petitioner? Yes, they need the zoning change because they're not able to occupy it and operate their business. But if I set that aside and just look at the way it's built, it really is not built for, it's not built the way that we build in St. Tammany Parish for highway commercial properties. It's built to be a light industrial building is really what it's, and if a contractor wanted to occupy a property on Highway 59, and let's say he had some equipment, he or she had some equipment that they needed to store, they would not be allowed to occupy any HC2 property. So do they belong shoved away behind the woods for a local contractor to present themselves and to have people come into their company and keep their equipment on site? I mean, no, that's a light industrial. They would have to get this zoning change. And would that be obtrusive on Highway 59 to see a contractor occupy that property? No, it would be a good thing. So I think it's the zonings themselves. There's a blur there, and we don't fit in one or the other, and the building doesn't really fit in one. It's on the line, and we wouldn't be asking for this if HC2 allowed it. We're on the fence. It's home.
Right, I understand where you're at, but you also have to understand that this parish just rezoned everything, basically about 6 years ago.
Right.
And to his best knowledge, even the planning department too had a say-so in all this. If you see, you're surrounded by highway commercial too.
I'm not surrounded. Across the street
You are
is
surrounded
I-1.
by highway commercial 2 zoning.
Okay. That touches
That's what
it.
the current
Correct.
zoning is, that was passed on by the commission, by the council and the planning department when they rezoned all this property.
I would say that across the street is I-1, but if we just start to, if we don't actually look at the classifications and look at the area, and that same zoning staff that made the comprehensive rezoning also suggested approval of this. They've studied, the professionals that we pay to recommend to you, what should we do? Not just, well, we made an agreement 25 years ago. What's the highest and best use of the property? Washington St. Tammany Electric is the front of a subdivision, 2 blocks down. They have outside storage right at the entrance. They don't even have an opaque fence. We're not trying to create what the other industrial properties have there on the highway. We're trying to create an opaque fence that's lined with landscaping. We would go above and beyond, and that's what we represented to the parish.
I'm going to allow other commissioners to question.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Commissioner Randolph?
Yes, sir. Looking at the aerial view of the property, on the west side, the back end of the property, if you go down Casriel, what is it abutting there?
There's 2 warehouses. There's 2 warehouses that are owned by Mr. Larry Lloyd.
Okay.
He stores his vehicles, his toys, and equipment inside of them.
And that is the way I'm looking at it, that's classified as HC2?
I believe so, yes. Which, I mean,
Okay.
if we look at that, that's HC2. So those are metal buildings that are built within HC2 to store equipment or vehicles.
Okay.
Is that really what we're looking for in is that the idea for highway commercial? Again, if we just look at labels.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
I would ask, when you're asked a question, answer the question. You don't have to elaborate any further so that the commissioners can ask their questions.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Commissioner Dougherty.
Yes, this is to Helen. The driveway cut, and based on what I'm seeing, 1 inch to 50 foot, the driveway cut starts about 50 foot off Highway 59. Is that sufficient? What does the parish require? Should it be back from a corner? Should it be set back further on Casserole?
It's possible, however, that's the way it was approved when the building was built. I would have to check with our traffic engineer to see if it actually meets, if it meets or if it doesn't meet the requirements, but that's how it was approved when the building was built.
Okay, so this driveway and everything's already there?
It's there and it's grandfathered in.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Richard?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Organ, I absolutely think what you're proposing to put there is spot on what should be there. Without question, that's exactly what's up and down 59. My concern is that agreements were made in the past, before my time, before, maybe not before everybody's time here, but, and it's difficult for us to, because we ask for community meetings. We want people to find compromise. And when they reach these agreements, while it's not legally binding, it allows us to make the best decisions. And I'm kind of a handshake guy, and once we agree on these deals, we need to honor them. Have you made any attempt to talk to Mr. Clark?
Is that the opposition?
Yes, it is.
After the meeting, I went up, approached him and shook his hand and said, my name and number's on the sign you pass every day. Please call me. And I have not heard anything.
Okay. What sounds like you're doing is actually going to be an improvement. And I do understand that there's still HC2 between you and the subdivision. So it's not like asking for I-1 eliminates that. I just wish there would have been an opportunity for you to get together and discuss this, because it sounds like your project is consistent with what's going on in the area and won't be a detriment. The problem is, once we make this I-1, it's I-1.
Oh, I understand.
And if you're gone, that building's gone, whatever, it's I-1. So I'm going to defer to the rest of my commissioners if they have any other comment. Thank you.
Commissioner Casabon?
I concur that what you're trying to do is appropriate for the building, but you have to realize that 59, and I have been here a while, was developed with a lot of these, like the Lloyd, the different buildings and structures that were put on there was kind of established before we had the comprehensive zoning. And even though they were in the appropriate zoning, a lot of these were conditional uses and things like that that, you know, got grandfathered in. What I think is important to remember is that we also made a commitment, because I know I have friends that live down Robert Road. There's very few of the residential people that live there that I feel like we owe them to be able to live in safety and in comfort. Not that this business would be something detrimental to them, but I agree. We made this, and I was on this commission when we did say, okay, you can have this, but this is it. And here, again, we're trying to put a higher zoning on it, even though this business is wonderful. But what if, as we said, once it's rezoned, the industrial, what else could go there if this business was not a success and stuff? And so we're looking at protecting the people that live in this area for right now. So I'm going to make a motion to deny.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Commissioner Casabon to deny, second by Commissioner Willie. Commissioner Davis, any further comment? Commissioner Casabon, any?
Oh.
So we have a motion again by Commissioner Casabon to deny, second by Commissioner Willie. Any further comment? I would ask for the vote, but please, just to be clear, an affirmative vote is a vote to deny. A yes vote would be a vote to deny. Please vote. Motion carries. If you wish to appeal to the council, you can fill out the appeals card, and that will go to the council. Thank you. 2016-152-ZC, existing zoning, CB1, Community-Based Facilities District. Proposed zoning, A4, Single-Family Residential District. The parcel, 77.36 acres. Petitioner, council motion. The owner, Military Road Land Company, LLC, Frank J. Lapicolo. The parcel is located on the east side of Louisiana Highway 1081, south of Smith Road, Ward 3, District 2. Staff?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to suggest to hear both cases, 2016-152 and 155 together, as they are for the same property.
We have a motion to hear them together? That'll be fine. Chair will listen, allow commission to hear them together. However, we will vote on them separately since they are two separate cases. Please, any further?
The site was originally rezoned to institutional district in 1988, and a conditional use permit was approved for the development of an age-restricted single-family residential subdivision. Petitioner is now requesting to change the zoning from CB1 to A4 to establish the underlying zoning, and also is also asking for a plan unit development overlay. The existing single-family residential subdivision is currently approved to be developed with a maximum of 174 lots, and at this time, only 72 lots have been developed. And if you look on your staff report, I actually gave you the wrong information. It is actually 72 lots that have currently been developed. So the requested zoning change would allow to bring the existing single-family residential subdivision into compliance with the appropriate zoning district, and for the preservation of the large existing green space that are already existing within the subdivision. The gross density of the property based on the underlying zoning of A4 is 4 units per acre, which would allow a total of 309 units. Based on the A4 zoning district, the net density would be for 232 lots. This proposal is for a total, as I said previously, of 174 units. Plan for the green space has been submitted. It is here attached to your packet showing that there's going to be a clubhouse, recreation area, exercise station along the walking path, and also a model home / office and clubhouse that is also proposed to be located on lots 168 and 169. And at this time, staff would like to recommend approval of the request to rezone to A4, as well as the request to rezone to plan unit development overlay.
Thank you. Mr. Marone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the Commission, Paul Marone on behalf of Military Road Land Co. LLC, the owner of the property. As Ms. Lambert just mentioned to you, this particular property and its current use was actually zoned appropriately for the use we have now back in 1988. So it goes back a long way. And in fact, the property is already developed by and large. 3 phases have been approved. Homes are there. People are living in them. The remaining property that has not yet made it to final approval has received preliminary approval, and there is a current work order in place. And if you'll look at your aerial that is in your package, you'll see that the streets have been rough cut in and so forth. The request to you tonight is mainly just to correct the zoning from the CB1 that was established in the comprehensive rezoning effort and to bring it back to what is actually on the ground out there today. Because as we sit here today, basically we have a use out there that is inconsistent with the zoning, and you could have a problem if some of those houses were to burn down, whether they could be rebuilt and the time frame and so forth because of that conflict. We are not proposing to materially change what was approved years ago in any way. We are simply asking to reclassify the ground as it was approved and as it's been built. The only change that I would point out to you is that in the original phases of the development, the setbacks were 0 and 10, so we had a 0 lot line concept.
In the rear, the property that is not yet developed, on this plan, we do show the setbacks going from 0 to 5 feet. So we're actually increasing the setbacks. So it's not a 0 lot line. You're still going to have 10 feet between homes, but 5 and 5 rather than a 0 and 10. Other than that, the layout is the same, the lot numbers are the same. We just want to bring the zoning back into consistency with what's out there on the ground. With that said, I'll be happy to answer any questions that any of the commissioners may have, but we would respectfully request your approval this evening and your concurrence with the staff's recommendation.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor of either of these cases? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I close it to the public and I bring it to the commission. Commissioner Casabon?
Yes, Paul, is this the place, we were talking about the road, yeah, but we had some people here that was concerned, and I've been there, and it's kind of confusing, the entrance and how, you know, some of this is not part of it and some of it is, and how the road, did y'all work on the road and the entrance? Because it is confusing.
Yes, I mean, I think all of that, I think, has been resolved. I think where we had that issue come up, I was trying to remember, but now I do recall, was when we did the zoning on the old Priory building, which
Right.
is
Part of.
which is part of this tract. The history of this property is that where the subdivision is and where the old Priory building was all part of St. Scholastica Priory, and the nuns owned it all. Over the years, when they closed the Priory, Archbishop Hannon acquired the property, and there was the residential section, which is Terra Marie, which is what you have now, which accesses through the old access way that went to the Priory. So as we appear before you tonight, the access way is owned and part of Terra Marie.
Okay.
And so it is within the property and the plan that is before you. The concern about the access came up with the Priory in the rear because it does also have a servitude over our entrance road, not our interior roads, but over our entrance road. So all of that is straight and is accounted for.
I know it's straight on paper, but now, but it is still kind of confusing that I have visited people there, and is it going to be better marked on how to maneuver that entrance? Because
Yes.
to me, I'm thinking of fire, you know, and emergency vehicles and things, being able to, you know, approach and get in quickly and stuff.
Yes, as that circular drive in the front is finished out and as the Priory building comes online in the back, there will be more clear signage to delineate where is Terra Marie, how do you get to the Priory, and so
Right.
forth, so that there is not that confusion.
Okay. No, it's well done, and you sure we did this in 1988? And I was here.
I was a
This
little
is scary.
surprised that it went back that far, to be honest with you, but
Anyway.
I'll trust staff that that's correct.
But I do remember it quite vividly. But anybody else has any other questions?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Commissioner Willie?
Paul, just clear, we've done a couple phases, you said. How did we get through approving the phases without the A4 zoning in place already?
Well, the last phase, let's see, I believe that the last phase was approved prior to the comprehensive rezoning going
Okay,
through.
and it was approved as a CB1.
Well, before the comprehensive rezoning, it was zoned institutional, but with a
That's what it
conditional
was.
use that allowed it.
So how do you get it CB1? That's my question, I guess.
If I'm not,
We did that with the comprehensive, because it was already, institutional or something?
yeah,
and
if
we
I'm not
decided-
mistaken, some of the uses that were in the CB1 got moved out into the MD, and that's when the transition was made but not changed on the map, and
So it
that's
ended
why.
up being a
we-
CB1. Okay. Well, yeah, I don't have a problem. Move for approval for both of these.
I'll
We
second
have
it.
to do them individually.
Do we do?
Yeah, we will do
first
them individually. So we have a motion by Commissioner Willie to approve, a second by Commissioner Casabon. Commissioner Richard? No? Okay, just to clarify, we are 2016-152-ZC. Motion by Commissioner Willie, second by Commissioner Casabon to approve. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion carries. 2016-155-ZC, which is the second half, if you will, of these combined cases.
Move to approve.
Commissioner Willie, motion to approve, second by Commissioner Richardson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Motion carries. Thank you. 2016-183-ZC, existing zoning, NC5, Retail and Service District, proposed zoning, HC2, Highway Commercial District. The parcel, .791 acres. The petitioner, Justin B. Schmidt. The owner, Marilyn B. Wenzel. The parcel is located on the south side of Louisiana Highway 22, west of Dalwell Drive, east of West Causeway Approach, Ward 4, District 10. Staff?
The 2025 Future Land Use Plan calls for the area to be developed with commercial uses at several levels of intensity. Staff does not have any objection to the request, considering that most of Highway 22 corridor is developed with a variety of retail uses. Note the abutting parcel to the east is located inside the city limits of Mandeville and Zone B2 Highway Business District. The B2 zoning district allows most of the same permitted uses listed under HC2 zoning district. Staff recommends that the request for HC2 Highway Commercial District designation be approved.
Thank you. Is the petitioner here? Thank you. Please come to the podium, state your name and address, sir.
Thank you. Good evening. Justin Schmidt, 701 Poydras Street, Suite 4500, New Orleans, representing the owner, Marilyn Wenzel, as well as Christian Brothers Automotive, who is the proposed owner under a purchase agreement. As Ms. Lambert said, this is the petition site is a .791 acre tract that's kind of orphaned as a result of various subdivisions of the property. It's sandwiched between two retail centers, one larger to the east with a Rouse's and a First American Bank and some other smaller things. One to the west, veterinary and some smaller personal service businesses. But both of those centers are oriented away from this, so they're kind of pointed outwards. This parcel, I think, for lack of better terms, is somewhat unattractive, and it's probably why it's been sitting there. But as Ms. Lambert said, both sides of this property is actually incorporated into the city of Mandeville, so this is somewhat of an island of property. As the corollary, though, is to the Mandeville. We don't feel that this is a spot zone. The HC2 that we're requesting today is, as said in staff, generally the same uses as the B2, so it would be very consistent with the area. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. I would like to, though, and I'm happy and pleased to introduce Mr. Jonathan Wakefield. He's come in from Houston with Christian Brothers Automotive, and he can give you a better idea of the actual use at the end. Thank you.
Fine. Thank you, sir. Mr. Wakefield, would you wish to speak in favor as well?
Yes. I apologize, I'm short. Got to adjust that. My name is Jonathan Wakefield. I'm the Development Director for Christian Brothers Automotive, 3783 Gold Leaf Trail Drive, Katy, Texas. I just wanted to make sure that you understand exactly what you're getting. It's a light automotive repair facility. Have a lot of details and notes. I don't want to beleaguer the evening, but we think that we're an excellent fit. By way of site plan, we do go back to back, as Justin alluded to, we go back to back with the existing shopping center. Our bay doors face into the backside of the other shopping center. The land is, unfortunately, for just about everybody else who would want to purchase it, it's 103 feet wide. Thankfully, for the current property owner, Our building is very long and skinny. We fit well. We're going to leave, I believe it's about 40% of the overall lot green space after we're complete. We are not what you would expect. We are essentially a stone cottage with a 9-car garage. We're not a lube shop. We're not a tire shop. There's not outside storage of anything. Nothing. No tires, no inflatable gorillas, and all the other things that unfortunately my industry has become associated with, so I apologize for all of our competitors. But the short of it is, we think we're a great fit. We think the community is a very good fit for us. There's a reason why our architecture looks like the surrounding houses. We're part of the community, and I think, sir, you said earlier, a handshake means a lot to you. It means a lot to us, too. This meeting is our first handshake with the parish, just letting you know we want to be here. We want to abide by the rules. I think we've been well received by staff and just would like to continue that with your vote this evening. But if you have any specific questions, I do this for a living too, so I'm ready to answer as you have questions.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none at this side, at this time, I would close it to the public and bring it to the commission. Commissioner Davis.
Yes, for the gentleman with Christian Brothers.
Yes, sir.
With this narrow 100-foot, 103.62-foot entrance, will they be entering from the very Highway 22 or on the side?
I can, if I may.
Yes, please.
And I apologize not bringing enough handouts for everybody in the class, so you might have to share a little bit. My apologies. I'm accustomed to 5 and 7, not
I like that.
11.
a lot. You're well
We have a
represented.
large parish.
So as you get to the first page, not to beleaguer your question, but
Right.
first page, second page is what we look like. The third page of that is what the site plan looks like. We're coming right in off the front. It's our only entrance. There is no shared access with anyone else. I think the question really speaks to traffic. And once again, because we're not a lube shop, tire shop, we don't do the kind of volume that you would typically see. And actually, I have a traffic study that shows that we work on about 15 to 17 cars a day, times 2 for the in and out plus employees. We do less traffic impact than McDonald's does in 30 minutes at lunch
Yeah,
in an
will-
entire day.
Is it 7 days a week?
No, sir. Actually, we're more philosophically and time-wise, we're very similar to Chick-fil-A. So we'll be open on Saturdays for the first 180 days after C of O. That's part of our lease agreement with the franchisee. After that, we're shut down on Saturdays. We're never open on Sundays. The second page, I think, shows our shuttle car, and that's how we're able to be shut down on the weekends. We accommodate people's lifestyles without them having to accommodate their lifestyles in weekends just to get their car repaired.
Okay, thank you. I believe the zoning is correct for this. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Davis to approve, a second by Commissioner Randolph. Commissioner Richard? No. Commissioner Lauren?
I was just going to make a motion to approve.
Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Davis to approve, second by Commissioner Randolph. Please vote. Motion carries. 2016-184-ZC, existing zoning, NC4 Neighborhood Institutional District, proposed zoning, I-1 Industrial District, the parcel 14,705 square feet, the petitioner Louis H. and Jana M. Thompson, the owner Louis H. and Jana M. Thompson. The parcel is located on the south side of Louisiana Highway 36, west of Melissa Lane, being 19471 Louisiana Highway 36, Covington, Ward 3, District 2. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan calls for the area to be developed with commercial uses. Considering that the site is surrounded by parcels of land zoned NC4, staff does not see any compelling reason to recommend approval. Staff recommends the request for I-1 Industrial District designation be denied.
Is the petitioner here? Please come to the podium, state your name and address.
Lewis Thompson, 19448 Melissa Lane, Covington, Louisiana, 70435.
And your reason, Mr. Thompson, that you would like this to be considered to go from NC4 to I-1?
To basically park 2 of my trucks there overnight, and then get them every morning and go to work, and then park them back there at night. That's why I bought the property, to basically store 2 of my trucks and my trailers. They're gooseneck trailers that are hooked to the trucks.
And what type of trucks are these?
Dodge Ram 3500 dualies.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor of the request? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I close it to the public and bring it to the commission. Commissioner Davis.
I have a question for Helen. So there's no zoning that would allow this gentleman to go ahead and just put his trucks there? Besides
No.
I-1?
It's considered as an outdoor storage yard.
Okay.
Wow. Commissioner Willie.
That's a question, is that for personal trucks or just his company trucks?
If I'm not mistaken, it is for the use of his personal business.
His personal business. Could you come to the podium? I mean, are these trucks that you have employees drive, or is your personal trucks?
I drive one, and the guy that works for me drives one.
And there's no zoning other than industrial to store 2 trucks?
Well, it's, once you have vehicles and, trailers for a business, it's considered as an outdoor storage yard, which is listed as a permitted use under I-1.
Well, because this is in the middle of a neighborhood. I mean, it makes it hard to put industrial inside of a neighborhood. There's houses all around this property. So, okay.
Commissioner Davis.
A question for Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
When did you purchase this property? And what was its zoning when you purchased it?
It was NC4.
So you purchased it as NC4?
Yes. I purchased it as commercial. I was told that was commercial property. I didn't know that you couldn't park your 2 vehicles
Yeah.
and leave them there at a commercial place of business, or I don't have an office building there. If I need to build one, I will.
Yeah.
But this is all new to me. I thought commercial property, I can
No, I
park 2 of my trucks
understand the
there
mistake. I mean,
and go to work.
that's-
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm learning that I have to have it zone industrial just to have them parked there.
I don't think this commission can go ahead and rezone it to I-1, though. I'll make a motion to deny.
I have one more question, though.
Certainly. We have a motion by Commissioner Davis to deny.
I second that
Commissioner-
motion as well. Now, what would be, if he stored his trucks inside of a building, what's the lowest zoning he could do? If he was in a building, if a garage?
What, an office warehouse is listed as a permitted use under HC1.
Say if he parked them in a barn.
Well, a barn is not a permitted use under the
Okay.
NC4
Well, I'm just saying, or something
zoning.
similar to it, just a metal building, an NC4 building. Could he park them inside that building?
As I said, an office warehouse is listed as a permitted use under HC1. However, it's not allowed under NC4.
But if he had a showroom in NC4, could he park those trucks in there? Our car showroom?
Well, automotive use is not permitted
Okay, I'm just
under
trying to,
NC4.
if there was a lower zoning that he could do, if he stored them inside of a building, and it wouldn't be outside storage, that's what I'm trying to get to.
Well, HC1 is the lowest zoning category where you could build an office warehouse.
Yeah. Okay, and that's still not really compatible in that area, so.
We have a motion by Commissioner Davis to deny, second by Commissioner Willie. A yes vote is a denial. Please vote. Motion to deny carries. 2016-185-ZC, existing zoning, A1A Suburban District, proposed zoning, A1A Suburban District, and planned unit development overlay. The parcel, 163.45 acres. The petitioner, Aero Engineering, Darrell Fussell. The owner, Tammany North Properties LLC, Robert Bruno. The parcel is located on the east of Joyner-Weimer Road, west of Louisiana Highway 1077, Ward 1, District 3. Staff?
The petitioner is requesting to change the zoning to PUD, Planning the Development Overlay. The underlying zoning of the site, A1A, was approved in 2015. The site is proposed to be developed with 47 single-family residential lots having an average lot size of 2.2 acres. The subdivision is proposed to be accessed from two separate accesses along Joyner-Weimer Road. And I'd like to invite you to look at the plan that was submitted. The density here was not based on a formula, but based on the yield plan. And if I'm not mistaken, this plan was presented to you at the Planning Commission level and approved. I'm not sure exactly at which level. Now, the petitioner is coming back proposing planning the development to basically remove the lots from the wetlands area. And they're still consistent with the same number of lots. They want to still create a PUD with 47 lots. A total of 52 acres is proposed to be provided. As active amenities, you will have a playground for children and a half basketball court. And there will also be a walking path through the wetlands area. So at this time, staff would like to recommend approval for the planning and development overlay.
Thank you. Is the petitioner here?
Hey, I'm Darrell Fussell, 237 Natchez Trace in Covington.
And Mr. Fussell, care to comment on your request?
Helen did a pretty good job.
Okay. You wish just to concur with her?
Yes.
That's fine with us. Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to speak in favor? Please come to the podium, state your name and address, sir. And if you would, fill out a speaker's card.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
My name is Robert Hesson, and I live at 12090 Joyner-Weimer Road. My property is 900 feet of frontage on this development, and we're very excited that this development's going in. It's going to be a first-class development, and will add a lot of value to all of us who own homes in the area.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And again, if you'll fill out a speaker's card. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I close it to the public and I bring it to the commission. Commissioner Randolph.
Mr. Fussell. Ms. Lambert so eloquently shared with us concerning the two lots that was being removed from the wetlands. Am I correct?
Well, it's basically, if you look at the plan that was approved all the way through, it was, preliminary approved, ready to go for construction. If you look at that plan and you look at the new plan, basically most of the wetlands is on the west side of the property. Mm-hmm. And so we had lots in the wetlands. And so we shifted the lots out of the wetlands and reconfigured things because the owner thought he had some concessions with the Corps that didn't turn out, and it's just the amount of dollars per acre to mitigate wetlands is just tremendous.
Okay.
So.
The other question is, if I may, Mr. Chair, that will not reduce or take away the area or the size of the 47 units? That will not reduce the 47 units, right?
The average lot size now is, I think, 2 acres. It was closer to 3 before. And so the lots got smaller, you know,
Okay.
but they still meet the
But
PUD.
you're still going to have the number of units?
Yes.
Okay. I move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Randolph to approve, second by
I got a question.
Commissioner Willie.
Question?
Commissioner Davis.
Yeah, Darrell. So you couldn't get the wetlands permit for the western part of the property, correct?
No, we could get it, we just couldn't pay for it.
Right. Oh, okay. Well, that's good. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, yeah,
But you
He's
still want to
honest.
maintain the same 47 lots.
right.
So you reduce the size, which is still large-sized lots. I do agree
Right.
with that. I mean, they're
Right.
almost, 1.1 looks like the smallest, and the largest is over 3 acres. You only have 5 lots that are actually listed under A1A, that are 3 acres or more. The other 42 are basically A2.
Right.
Do you agree?
Right.
Okay, so that's your diversity, correct? Basically?
Yes.
Okay, I mean, what's this lot 38? I was trying to understand what that lot 38 by the green space is. It's not well defined. Where it says 1.98 acres? Does that mean it's going to be, where that green space is, there's 2 separate lots
Yes.
in that green space?
Yeah, the survey plat will take
Right.
the wetlands line
Yeah.
and define those lots. So,
Yeah, I see we approved the initial 47 lots back in July 2015, August 2015, obviously based on you getting the wetlands permit and such, but now you still want the same number of lots, but the minimum size, and you use this instead of using the calculation, which are only giving you 40 lots, correct?
Right.
It would have gave you 40 lots to design instead of 47,
right,
if you would have used the calculation, correct?
right.
Okay.
Commissioner Casabon?
Yep. This is just going back, just a question. On the cul-de-sac, are those large enough? It says 46, 40, I can't read. But those are large enough for like a fire truck and stuff? This was a Mills Lombard's thing with the fire trucks
yeah,
and stuff. This is a standard
Yeah, this detail
where
was,
they're large enough to
Right.
maneuver in those cul-de-sacs. This is also the plan we talked about where you had put in so much detention that it was really going to help the people in the surrounding areas too on this particular.
Right.
We have talked about that before, that this is a really good plan, and I concur with it. Just wonder about the cul-de-sac.
Commissioner Fitzmaurice, do you still have a question? No. Commissioner Randolph? No. Commissioner Richard?
One last question for me, Darrell. How'd this area do during the recent floodings?
it actually did really well. I went out there while the high water marks could still be seen on the trees, and where the water and the elevation of the road down at the creek is 24.3, and the water just went over the road, South Fitzmaurice Road, which I had no idea what it would be, but that's where it was. I didn't get an exact elevation. I put a ribbon on a tree down the creek. You can see it, it's pink, but that's where the high water was. But actually, it appears to me, and I know this is not about drainage, but I'll talk drainage because I like drainage. I think what happens in that area is that when the water, when it hits 190 from the north, it turned and went toward Camp Covington, most of the water. If the highway wasn't there, well, it would have kept on going toward me. But that's what happened. And so the water it appears to me that the water on the west side of 1077 was lower than the water on the east side of 1077 during the flood just because of the roads and stuff. You know.
Good. I realize this isn't the drainage
Yeah, but anyway.
forum, but it's top of mind right now,
Yeah,
so I
and
appreciate
so,
you answering it.
you know, we're looking, based on the flood maps, we're looking at the houses being at elevation 28, top slab being at 28, and, you know, this gazillion-year storm that just happened basically was at 24.5 is what I'm thinking, so.
Thank you. Commissioner Davis.
Yeah, one last thing. If this commission doesn't grant the PUD overlay, what would you do with the property as is?
I don't know.
Okay, because I beg the commission to think about this under the definitions of a PUD. I don't think this is a very well-designed PUD. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, the only thing I could say in response to that is that, you know, from the, and I understand, you know, your point, but I also see that, you know, this is it's an area with with large lots, with central sewer and water, and with a tremendous area for people to walk in the woods, which you're supposed to be able to do that in St. Tammany Parish. So that's, you know.
Are there any further comments of the commission? If not, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Randolph, second by Commissioner Willie. Please vote. Motion carries. 2016-186-ZC, existing zoning, A2 Suburban District. Proposed zoning, A2 Suburban District and manufactured housing overlay. The parcel, 2.46 acres. The petitioner, Janie Fry. The owner, Dennis and Linda Tisdale. The parcel is located on the west side of Louisiana Highway 25, north of MP Planchet Road, south of Lake Ramsey Road, Ward 3, District 3. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan calls for the area to be developed with commercial uses. The site is currently developed with some existing residences. The request will allow the placement of an additional manufactured home on the site. Staff does not have any objection to the request and recommends the request for manufactured housing overlay designation be approved.
Thank you. Is the petitioner here? Please come to the podium. State your name and address, please.
My name is Janie Fry. I live at 2937. No, wait, let me start that over again. 75293 Highway 25. Covington 70435. We already have mobile homes, and we just want to put one in the center. And like she said, she done good.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to speak in favor of the request? Is there anyone in the public who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I close it to the public and I bring it to the commission. Commissioner Casabon.
Yes, there are several trailers there. It's kind of like a family combo. They have plenty of room. I make a motion to approve.
Commission by, a motion to approve by Commissioner Casabon, second by Commissioner Lauren. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion carries. 2016-187-ZC, existing zoning, A4 single-family residential district. Proposed zoning, A4 single-family residential district and manufactured housing overlay. The parcel, 14,000 square feet. The petitioner, Carlisha Johnson. The owner, Carl and Beverly Johnson. The parcel is located on the south side of Gardenia Street, west of Spruce Street, east of Holly Street, being lots 19 and 20, Square 11, Abita Nursery Subdivision, Ward 3, District 2. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan calls for the area to be developed with residential uses, including manufactured homes. Staff does not have any objection to the request. Note that there are 8 manufactured homes existing in the immediate vicinity. Staff recommends request for manufactured housing overlay designation be approved.
Thank you. Is the petitioner here? Please come to the podium, sir, and state your name and address for the record.
My name is Carl Johnson. Me and my wife own the property, and we was trying to get a place for my daughter, put a mobile home there.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to speak in favor of the request? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I close it to the public and I bring it to the commission. Commissioner Commissioner Randolph.
I motion to approve.
We have a motion by Commissioner Randolph to approve, second by Commissioner Richardson. Excuse me. I'll get it straight. I got all the R's going tonight.
I just have a question.
Commissioner Willie.
Yeah, Mr. Johnson, there's a home on that property already?
No, sir. It's 2 lots separate. We
I'm looking at one
own
lot,
6
it looks like
lots.
it's got a home on it already.
Yeah, that's our house. And we got 2 lots on this side. The house is in the middle, and then 2 lots on the other side.
Well, it looked like it was just one parcel of property with a home on it already, what I'm looking at. So, I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
Are there any further comments? If not, we have a motion by Commissioner Randolph, a second by Commissioner Richardson to approve. Please vote. Motion carries. The next case, 2016-191 ZC, Mr. Shane had requested, he is in another, zoning. Mr. Morone, are you going to handle this? Okay. So we will continue. Mr. Shane had asked if he's not here to defer, but his partner, Mr. Morone, will provide. 2016-191-ZC, existing zoning, NC1 Professional Office District, .551 acres, and NC4 Neighborhood Institutional District, .551 acres. Proposed zoning, NC4 Neighborhood Institutional District, .551 acres, and NC1 Professional Office District, .551 acres. The parcel, 1.102 acres. The petitioner, Jeffrey D. Shane. The owner, 21 Keys Southwest LLC. The parcel is located on the south side of Keys Road, west of Louisiana Highway 21, Ward 1, District 1. Staff?
I'd like to invite you to take a look at the survey that was submitted. It shows exactly what the request consists of. You have the existing property line, which shows the NC1 and the NC4, and the request here is to basically angle the property line and to switch the NC4 for the NC1 and the NC1 for the NC4, which would allow to create a parcel that will have a square parcel along Highway 21 and just readjust the 2 property lines to make it easier to be developed. And at this time, staff would like to recommend approval.
Thank you. Mr. Morone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Paul Morone again, this time on behalf of 21 Keys Southwest LLC. Again, if you will look at the survey map that Ms. Lambert just directed you to, you will see what the proposal is. We're just swapping the 2 uniform triangles, the NC4 for the NC1. The purpose of that is so that the property will have a uniform depth along 21. If you'll look at the survey, you'll see that 21 runs at a bit of an angle as it fronts the property. So what we are proposing to do is to have the zoning line truly run parallel with 21 so that there is uniform depth all the way along the frontage, whereas right now, as the line exists, we have greater depth at Keys Road, but it gets less and less as we move to the south. So This would simply rearrange that line so that it does truly parallel Highway 21 and give uniform depth to the NC4 parcel that fronts 21. I would also point out that if approved, it would result in more NC1 than NC4 fronting Keys Road. So as you get off of Highway 21, it seems to make better sense that the NC1 would be more appropriate, so there'd be a greater frontage there along Keys Road than exists now with the line in its current location. I'll be happy to answer any questions that anybody at the Commission may have, but we would respectfully request your approval for the rezoning as laid out by staff and with my explanation.
Thank you, Mr. Morone. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor of the request? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Hearing none, I close it to the public and I bring it to the Commission. Commissioner Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Paul, I have a quick question. This is a no-brainer, but I have more administrative question. Once the zoning gets adjusted, do you have to then re-subdivide to move lot lines around, or is this one lot?
No. The short answer is the zoning line has no definite correlation to a lot line. It is not uncommon that one parcel of record might have multiple zones within that parcel. At this point, I believe that this is all still one parcel.
Okay.
So it would not even apply. We don't have an interior lot line at this point.
Understood. I make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Richard to approve, a second by Commissioner Davis. Pardon me? Commissioner Willie, no, Commissioner Lauren.
Yes, I have several questions, Paul, if you would. I go back in time several years ago where this was one parcel of land, and it was granted a conditional use permit to build a training facility for teachers that never came about. So to the best of my knowledge, this is one parcel of land that's got two different zoning lines on it.
I believe that's correct.
All right. Keys Road, first question I have is Keys Road, if you look back over to either one of the previous two pages in the packet, Keys Road crosses 21 and becomes Christwood, but from Highway 21 going west on Keys Road, it only goes a mile and a half, and it gets to Highway 1077.
Mm-hmm.
And in that distance, there's not a single commercial development of any kind. And I'm concerned that if you split this one piece of land into two, as we're looking at doing here, then all of a sudden the frontage on Highway 21 sells, but then you're going to have access to get into the one in the rear, and the only way to do that would be off Keys Road.
Right. A few comments about that. Obviously, as it stands today, we've got a divided zoning line there. So we're not creating divided zoning where it doesn't otherwise exist. We're simply relocating that interior line. The ultimate development of the property, whether or not there is going to be access off of Keys or whether there will be some type of central access for the entirety of the property, both the NC1 and the NC4 off of Highway 21, has not really been determined because we don't have a plan for development at this point. But I would suggest that whether you approve or not approve the relocation of the line, it really wouldn't have any bearing on your concern, which is whether or not there is access off of Keys. I think that would be left for a later date, whether as part of a planning process or a re-subdivision process perhaps, because if they are going to be split, then that would require some type of re-subdivision approval.
Okay. The second thing is, from the Keys Christwood road going south, all the way to Keith Young Steakhouse, there, that stretch of highway is part of the planned corridor overlay. And subdivisions, if you look on the map that's got the different zoning classifications on it, if you look on that one, if you see where it says Natchez down at the bottom, that's the entrance into Natchez Trace. Okay. So you have Natchez Trace, then you have the Arbor Walk Office Park, then you have the Arbor Walk subdivision, and you've got the ED2 is the Christwood development. All of those have left considerable buffers along the highway, particularly if you get down to places like Natchez Trace and Arbor Walk and Arbor Walk Office Park. It's almost impossible to see the buildings driving down the highway unless you're really looking. My concern, Paul, is most people up here know is that the gradual encroachment of commercial into some of the most expensive residential real estate that we've got in the parish. I mean, Natchez Trace has been a very successful development. Arbor Walk's been very successful. And all of a sudden, we're slowly but slowly moving that commercial line further and further and further right into their front door. Now, maybe the planning stage is the right time to talk about that. But my concern is we've approved a couple of things here lately that once they got approved zoning-wise and we didn't ask the proper questions when they got built, they were totally not in keeping with the surrounding area. And that really upsets the homeowners.
Right, right. A couple of comments about that. I guess with regards to the buffers that are out there and how the buffer might work on this particular parcel when it comes into commerce, I believe what you alluded to is correct, and maybe Ms. Lambert can correct us if we're both mistaken, but I believe that this property would be within the planned corridor overlay, which would mean that whatever is built here would have to abide by the setbacks and buffer areas which are enhanced in that overlay. So any plan that would come either before you at planning or if there is no re-subdivision that would just go to the staff would have to account for those buffer zones and those setbacks which are, again, more severe, if you will, under the planned corridor overlay. With regards to the commercial encroachment, I understand your concern. I guess I view this particular request, though, as not additional encroachment because we're already dealing with property that's zoned NC4 and NC1. We're not introducing any zoning that's not there now. We're not creating more of one zone. We're just taking, what is it, 0.551 acres of NC1 and NC4 and swapping them around. So the net result, I guess, from the encroachment concern, I would say I don't think we have a greater level of encroachment with this proposal than what we have out there on the ground. I understand what you're saying about the other subdivisions, and I am sensitive to that, and certainly if we were coming in and requesting NC4 or NC1 where it didn't exist today, I think there would be more of an issue there.
Okay.
Any further comment, Commissioner Lund? Any further comments from the commission at all? If not, we have a motion by Commissioner Richard and a second by Commissioner Davis to approve. Please vote. Motion carries. 2016-192-ZC, existing zoning A4 single-family residential district. Proposed zoning HC2 highway commercial district. The parcel, .7 acres. The petitioner, Christy Trosclair. The owner, Magnolia Realty Investment Company, LLC. The parcel located on the west side of McKinney Road, north of Shortcut Highway, being 1815 McKinney Road, Slidell, Ward 8, District 12. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan calls for the area to be developed with residential uses. Considering that the site is directly abutting some existing single-family residences, staff does not see any compelling reason to recommend approval of the request and would like to recommend denial of the requested zoning change to HC2. However, staff would not object to a request to rezone the site to an IDC commercial zoning district classification.
Thank you. Is the petitioner here? If you please come to the podium, state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Christy Trosclair, 402 Arrowwood Drive, Slidell, Louisiana, 70458. I'm the owner of Magnolia Realty. Basically, we would agree with what the staff recommends. We'd like to go down to the NC5 rating. We originally purchased this property as residential real estate. We've been able to rent it for a few years, but with all the new development around us, no one wants to rent residential when everything around us is turned commercial.
So you're proposing now to take it to an NC5, not
Yes, I spoke
down
with
from
Helen
an
about that.
HC2?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to speak in favor of this request? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in? Yes, sir.
Hi, how y'all doing? My name is Mr. Doval, and I am the owner of 1819 McKinney. We are the only two properties that are left residential in that area, and it's like this year I've lost a tenant that was there for 4 years because of the traffic, and they had small children. I missed the opportunity to rent to commercial because I wasn't zoned commercial, and if I'm gonna stay in that area, that's the only way I will be able to survive, is if we could change it to a commercial property. Because rental, I mean, nobody's gonna rent there. On the corner, they put the mattress company, and next door they put the hotel. So it's really become a very popular area with a lot of traffic. And hopefully you can consider the zoning for us, please.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Hearing none, I close it to the public and I bring it to the commission. Commissioner Dowdy.
Mr. Chairman, I went out and looked at this, and I'm glad to hear Ms. Trosclair asking that the zoning request be changed from HC2 to NC5, because HC2 is not appropriate, although there is some HC2 on the east side of McKinley there. There's one, it looks like a big building that's been maybe sitting vacant for a while. Didn't look like there was any business going in and out of it at the time. But since you're requesting this to go to NC5, I would make a motion to approve that request.
Motion by Commissioner Dougherty to approve. Commissioner Randolph.
I'll second.
NC5, yes.
I'll second.
I have a second by Commissioner Randolph. Commissioner Davis.
Question for Helen. When you suggest the request to rezone to NC, you didn't state exactly what NC.
No, we didn't state any NC. However, we wouldn't have any objection to the NC5. We understand that it's a neighborhood, it's abutting a neighborhood, but it's still in very close proximity to some highway commercial uses.
Okay. Because in NC, obviously everyone knows that in NC5, all the other NC zonings are included in this. Plus in NC5, you can have a restaurant with a lounge. That's just something to think about. Thank you.
Commissioner Lauren.
Yes,
Are there any further questions? If not, we have a motion by Commissioner Dougherty to approve a NC 5, second by Commissioner Randolph. Please vote. Motion carries. 2016-193-ZC, existing zoning A4 Single Family Residential District. Proposed zoning HC2 Highway Commercial District. The parcel 17,765.98 square feet. The petitioner Cindy A. DeValier. The owner Cindy A. and Sigoberto V. Del Valle. The parcel is located on the west side of McKinney Road, north of Shortcut Highway, being 1819 McKinney Road, Slidell, Ward 8, District 12. Staff?
Comments would be the same as the previous case. Staff does not recommend approval to the HC2, however, would not object to a rezoning request to an NC zoning.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I'm the budding property to the property was here before with Chris, with the trust clerk. I'm here for the 1819 McKinney property. It's the same as the property before. It's just a budding property, one next to the other.
And so you're
requesting for the 5, HC5.
So your request is to amend it from
To an
HC2 request to NC5
NC5.
request?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor of the request? Anyone who wishes to speak in opposition of the request? Seeing none, I close it to the public and I bring it to the commission. Commissioner Randolph.
Ms. Lambert, will that square footage of 17,764, is that a standard to fit into NC5?
Well, they would certainly have, that it would be rezoned to NC1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They would have to meet the same requirements as far as setbacks and green space requirements. If it answers your question, I'm not.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It doesn't?
What is your question exactly?
Does the square footage or the acreage in this one fit in the category of NC5, or will it fit in an NC1 or?
I can pull it up if you wish, sir.
Okay.
You're asking me what the minimum lot size is under NC5?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Richard asked a question. There are existing structures on the property. Is that correct?
Correct.
And what are those structures?
There's a house on it right now that's 2,400 square feet. Living, let's see. And I believe for NC5 is 5,000 square feet. Minimum or maximum.
The minimum lot size under NC5 is 20,000 square feet.
Is 20,000?
Minimum lot size.
Minimum. Okay. I motion to approve.
We have a motion by Commissioner Randolph to approve, second by Commissioner Fitzmaurice. Commissioner Richard.
So when we make these approvals, and there's already a smaller lot, and we already have structures on it, we put them in non-compliance right away? I mean, we're basically going to zone something below what our rules say, so they're non-conforming.
All the NC zonings, the minimum lot size is 20,000 square feet.
So right off the bat, if we prove this to NC5, it doesn't meet the minimum.
It doesn't mean the minimum lot size. They still have to meet the minimum requirements as far as setbacks and.
Frontage and everything else. And there's already a structure on that property now, so if it doesn't, for some reason, conform, what did we just do?
They may have to request some variances.
Thank you.
Commissioner Randolph?
And I appreciate that point, Mr. Richard, and actually, I would like to rescind my motion. I'd like to rescind my motion.
Now, the motion that you've made, Commissioner Randolph, it's now in front of the commission.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have a motion, and we do have it seconded. We could have a, let's see. We would have to have a motion to withdraw? Yeah. Yeah, we would now need, you could make a motion to withdraw. So would you like to make a motion to withdraw?
Make a motion to withdraw.
Okay. We have a motion to withdraw, second by Commissioner Fitzmaurice. That would take precedence. There will not be any debate. We do have a motion to withdraw the previous motion. Please vote. That motion has been withdrawn. So we are still in comments and debating. Commissioner Dougherty.
Yes, I'll make the motion to approve, and the reason I'm doing that is because this would fall into a commercial area, and it would be appropriate to be a commercial area. It would not be appropriate to go into an HC, and even though the minimum lot size is 20,000 square feet in any of the NCs, it's still going to be appropriate to be an NC zoning. So I would make the motion to approve the NC5 zoning for this particular 2016-193 ZC.
We have a motion by Commissioner Dougherty to approve. Now, staff, just as a point of clarification, will they require a variance? They will have to go in front. That's okay. Will they now be required to get approval of a variance in order to get proper permitting and licensing?
Well,
Or no?
we'll have to see exactly what the use is going to be, and they will have to present a plan showing how they want to develop the property. It is possible that they may have to go request some variances because I don't know if they'll be able to meet the parking and landscaping requirements.
Yeah, that would be a separate step beyond us. Commissioner Richard.
I want to clarify something. My concern is not that this property should not be neighborhood commercial. I think it's fine. So your request is not out of line. I just don't want this body to basically approve something that we create additional problems. And so part of our discussion here is understanding how we accomplish this. But I do support that motion. Do we have a second? I'll second that motion to support it because I think it's proper use of the property. It's just that we've got to make sure that we dot our I's and cross all our T's and so forth, and we don't want you to leave here and have additional problems.
Thank you for that, Commissioner Richard. So we have a motion by Commissioner Dougherty to approve, second by Commissioner Richard. Is there any further comment? Commissioner Randolph.
Okay. I want to make sure I understand. The minimum requirement is 20,000. I initially made the motion, but we made it clear that because of the minimum requirement and to be consistent with what we as commissioners are supposed to be about, that we don't want to really go beyond the rules and regulations that's set before us. But now we're saying is okay. So I'm a little confused.
This is an existing parcel of land. He's not trying to create a 17,000 square foot parcel of land. It's an existing parcel of land. He's requesting to have it rezoned to NC5. And here, what the question's in front of you, is the NC5 appropriate or not? Now, after he finds a potential tenant, he will have to meet all the other requirements or request a variance. But the question is in front of you, is the NC5 appropriate or not?
And council just gave Commissioner Davis a clarification.
Yes, this is not a new lot for the 20,000 square foot of record.
No, it is not. It's
So it
existing.
doesn't have to meet that requirement to be 20,000 square foot.
No.
This is not a new lot.
But this lot is at least 20,000 square foot, isn't it?
17.
Okay, I thought I saw .7
17.
acres somewhere.
There's two, this is the lower, the
That's
smaller
yours.
one at the
Okay.
bottom.
The council just gave us a clarification on the ordinance where it specifically states on a new lot. This is an existing lot, so we've got that clarification. Is there any further questions or comments? If not, we have a motion by Commissioner Dougherty to approve, amended to NC5, second by Commissioner Richard. Please vote. Motion carries. There is no old business in front of this commission. Is there any new business to come in front of the commission? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.